My name is Mats Nählinder. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SunStone. And I'm really happy to see all of you here today to participate in the PlugFest. And so what do we hope to get out of this PlugFest, and why do we hold it? So the PlugFest is really to make OSCAL come alive. So OSCAL today, most of us are using it internally, and we have tools, so forth. But as soon as we're going to share this information with the what they call the ecosystem, like for us, we're helping the CSPs, and then when we go to a 3PO, then the 3PO doesn't read OSCAL, and the agencies don't know what to do with it, and the PMO at the FedRAMP doesn't know yet either. So what we wanted to do here is to take the first steps to take the OSCAL that we have and see how compatible are each other's OSCAL documents with each other. So we print something, or not print, but we generate something, and then the rest of us try to see how do we read it, and vice versa. And that way we can get all of the bugs out, or some of them at least, and get on the road to make OSCAL be what it's supposed to be, a way for us to communicate with machine-readable messaging between each other and make this whole ecosystem much more, efficient. So when we started to plan for this PlugFest, we weren't sure, is this the right timing? Is there enough momentum in it and so forth? But we decided, let's do it. And that was the last fall we did that. And then, of course, in March, FedRAMP 20X came around, and now we realized that the timing was perfect, because now OSCAL is more relevant than ever, because FedRAMP 20X is saying, you know, automated or machine-readable applications for the ATO, and we have the automated testing and so forth. But at the same time, OSCAL has become more irrelevant, because the mandate of using OSCAL in the FedRAMP space has been, as I revoked, so to speak. So it is really up to us in the ecosystem to show that OSCAL delivers what we expect it to deliver, and get it going, so that if we decide or can show and use it, and we see that we get the gains that we expect to get from it, then it becomes a de facto industry standard. So a couple of days ago, I read in the news that the OSCAL Foundation wrote an open letter to the FedRAMP 20X or the PMO that to really take OSCAL seriously. So I would announce today that the PMO will have to deal with OSCAL, because SunStone, I don't know if we have already, but we will within days submit our application for our platform to the FedRAMP 20X ATO, and that will be in OSCAL, and it will be with the KSI automatically tested continuously. Then, if we go in, the agenda today will be the welcome talk here now, and then Anka Seiler from IBM, distinguished engineer, you will talk about some of the mapping of OSCAL. And then we have Christian Bear, from technical fellow from Schellman, that will discuss the view of FedRAMP 20X from a 3PO's perspective. And after that, Robert will go through the discussions of how this PlugFest will actually be running, what we should do, and so forth. So Robert here is our CTO and co-founder. And also, you're the top contributor on the top troll of the 20X. And over there, finishing off everything, is Jose Hernandez, is our OSCAL expert engineer, who has been putting together this, and also all of our SSPs that we have submitted to FedRAMP. He's made sure that they are formatted correctly, and all of them passed the then test rig over at FedRAMP. Then we'll do the first session of the PlugFest, and then lunch will be brought in. So we have box lunches coming, and then afterwards it'll be a little fluid depending on how the testing goes. But we will do the second test session, and then if we are interested, we can have a discussion and a short presentation of the submitting a application in OSCAL to the FedRAMP 20X, and we can start discussing what that entails, because it's kind of fluid what everybody thinks should be there, how it should be formatted, and so forth. And we have a break in the afternoon with coffee and so forth, and then we do a debrief of the day's exercise. And after the closing remarks, we'll have some wine and beer and soda for people who are still here. And we have a little happy hour, and we can be networking. But before I leave it to Anka, just a couple of words from our sponsor, and the sponsor is us. So joke aside, so I don't know if everybody knows who SunStone is. So a few words of who we are. So we are a compliance as a service or CISO as a service company. We help organizations to become compliant. And once they're compliant, we take them through the audit, and then we run their CONMON, or the continuous compliance part for them. And though we've managed many different framework, we focus on the NIST frameworks, and especially on FedRAMP. And today we're working on our second dozen of FedRAMP projects, and about half of those are already up on the marketplace today. So what makes SunStone special? Well, we have about a magnitude of improvement compared to doing this manually. So what does that mean with implementation time, cost, reduction of utilization of your the CSP's workforce, and then we reduce the risk inside the project as well. So what does that mean in time? We've done the implementation from walking in, creating the system, and making it assessment ready in 30 days. But more realistic, 60 to 90 is probably more workable if you want to be sane after the project. And the cost at that point, everything with documentation, gap analysis, the remediation, and the software stack that you need, that should cost less than $50,000 to become assessment ready. And once you're in the CONMON environment, then the reduction in staff is about 80% what's needed. And how do we do this? We do that through automation and using cloud-native technologies. So we have, though we are not a tools vendor per se, we have automation tooling that we use as an organization. And basically what it is, we model the system that we're going to take through compliance in a digital twin from a compliance perspective, not functionality. And then we ingest all the telemetry and documentation and so forth into this environment, and we store it in a data schema that is based on OSCAL. So we're really OSCAL native, and everything we do is in an OSCAL format natively at the level of where we do our processing. And then you can, of course, then put all of the frameworks, test controls around it. So we test it. And if the tests come out negative, it's not compliant, that becomes the gap analysis list. And when it is compliant, we just push a button, and now out comes the SSP. And the SSP is, of course, in OSCAL, but we generated our first OSCAL, was it 2020? OSCAL SSP, but the format was not as standardized as it is today. So we also generate it in Word, so the agencies and 3POs and so forth can read them. And since we have all of that, and we know what the tests are going to be, we can generate the tests. We can say if the tests are passing or not, and we can ingest all of the evidence that shows that we based the result of the test in kind of a controlled test workbook. And we use that to do mock-up audits before we actually walk in with our customer, before we walk in to the assessor to do the official assessment. And so selfishly, we want this meeting working in the sense that all our stuff is working inside our environment in OSCAL, but we would like to make the rest of the ecosystem also automated, and if the rest of the ecosystem can take our OSCAL, then we become more efficient too. So that's kind of like what we want to push, and I think that's what everybody in the room is here to do as well.